The night sky of Virelia was filled with fire. Burning ships fell like dying stars, and the land trembled under the sound of explosions. The war between the Galactic Dominion and the Sarathi Empire had reached its breaking point. In the middle of that chaos, a small escape pod cut through the smoke and crashed into a forest of crystal trees. Inside that pod was Elias Ward, a young human medic from Earth. His uniform was torn, his arm bleeding, but his eyes stayed sharp. He had trained for war zones, but this was something beyond human imagination. The air itself shimmered with strange energy, and the trees glowed faintly like glass. Elias stumbled out of the pod, coughing. His ship had been hit by a stray plasma shot, and he was the only survivor. His communicator was dead, his oxygen supply was limited. Still, he refused to give up. "One step at a time," he muttered. "Find water, find shelter." As he moved deeper into the glowing forest, he heard a faint sound. It was not the roar of battle or the crack of fire. It was a cry, soft, trembling, and full of pain. He followed it carefully, pushing past glowing vines and shattered crystals until he reached a small clearing. There, lying among the broken crystal shards, was a girl unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly like diamond dust, and her hair floated as if touched by light itself. A long wound ran across her side, and her veins glowed dimly, fading like a dying star. Her eyes were half open, and they reflected both pain and fear. Elias froze for a moment. She was clearly alien, her features elegant, her body fragile, but she was still alive. Hey, don't move," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "You're going to be all right." Her gaze flicked toward him. She tried to speak but could only whisper, "Huh." "Man?" "Yes, human," he answered. "And you're hurt bad. Let me help you." Her breathing was weak, her blood, if it could be called that, was not red but silver, and it sparkled faintly as it touched the ground. Elias quickly opened his emergency medical kit. The medgel and patches were designed for human biology, but maybe they could do something. He pressed the gel over the wound, but the substance began to burn away, evaporating into light. Her body rejected it. No, he muttered, panic rising in his chest. "Come on, stay with me." He tore a strip from his uniform, pressing it over her wound to stop the glowing flow. The alien girl groaned softly, and her light dimmed further. Elias knew she wouldn't last long. He looked at his hands, then at her wound, and made a desperate choice. "All right. If your body rejects synthetic stuff, maybe, just maybe, it can handle organic." He pulled out his knife, took a deep breath, and cut his own palm. Blood flowed quickly, warm and red. He pressed it against her wound, hoping it might help seal it, hoping for anything. At first, nothing happened. Then slowly her veins started glowing brighter. Her wound began to shimmer, the edges of the cut closing as if drawn together by unseen threads. Elias blinked in disbelief. "It's working." The alien girl's breathing steadied. Her dim light returned, stronger now. She looked at him with wide eyes that glowed like molten gold. "What did you do?" she whispered. Elias managed a tired smile. "Guess human blood's good for something." Before he could say more, a deep hum echoed through the forest. Bright lights surrounded them. Elias looked up to see armored figures descending from the air, tall, shining beings with armor made of crystal and metal. Their spears glowed, and their voices were sharp. "Step away from the princess," one shouted. "Princess?" Elias muttered in confusion, but before he could move, the aliens had already formed a circle around them. One of them aimed a weapon at him, but the girl, Princess Araya, lifted a weak hand. "Stop," she said softly. "He saved me." The guards froze, shocked. They looked at the human again, his torn uniform, his bleeding hand pressed against her still glowing wound. A mix of awe and disbelief crossed their faces. The leader bowed his head slightly. "Princess, your light had faded." "How?" Her voice was faint but steady. "His blood healed me." The guards exchanged stunned glances. Sarathi physiology had always been unique. No alien had ever affected it before, certainly not a human. Yet here was proof before their eyes. One of the guards stepped forward and grabbed Elias's arm roughly. "You will come with us," he said. "Hey, easy," Elias protested, but he didn't resist. He was too weak, and his head was spinning from blood loss. Araya looked at him as he was lifted onto one of their hovering platforms. Her golden eyes softened. "You saved my life," she whispered. "My people will not forget this." Elias managed a faint grin. "Just doing my job, Princess." The guards carried them both through the glowing forest back toward the shining towers of the Scifi capital. From above, the city looked like a sea of light, beautiful, alien, and endless. As they entered the gates, whispers spread among the people. A human?
He touched the royal blood?
Impossible. The queen's palace loomed ahead, tall and sharp like a crown made of light. Inside, healers rushed to the princess's side while soldiers watched Elias closely, unsure whether to treat him as a savior or a threat. Before he could say anything, a commanding voice filled the hall. Bring the human before me. Elias turned and saw her, Queen Maratha, ruler of the Scifi. Her presence was calm yet powerful, her crystal crown shining like a small sun. She looked at him with cold, piercing eyes. You are the human who touched my daughter's core? Elias swallowed. I'm the one who saved her, yes. The queen studied him for a long moment, then spoke quietly. No human has ever survived contact with Scifi essence. Yet you not only survived, you gave her life. I didn't plan it, Elias said simply. I just couldn't let her die. The queen's expression softened slightly, though her tone remained regal. Then it seems, human, that fate itself has chosen you. He frowned. What does that mean? The queen turned away, her long crystal robes glimmering. It means you are no longer free to leave. Elias's heart sank as guards surrounded him once more. He had saved a life, but in doing so he had stepped into a world far beyond his own. And above him, the queen's voice echoed softly. Until my daughter's bond with you is complete, you belong to the royal house of Scifi. The palace of Queen Maratha was unlike anything Elias had ever seen. Towers of crystal soared into the sky, reflecting the light of Virelia's twin moons. The hallways shimmered with energy, and the floor seemed to hum beneath his feet as he was led through corridors lined with glowing panels and strange alien statues. Elias's hand throbbed where he had bled for Princess Araya, but he ignored the pain. His mind was racing. I saved her. But now what? He was brought into a vast chamber where the queen awaited, sitting on a throne of solid crystal that reflected her power and authority. Around her, Scifi advisors moved silently, their expressions unreadable. Princess Araya sat nearby on a raised platform, still pale but much stronger than when Elias had first seen her. Her golden eyes met his, and she gave a faint smile. Queen Maratha's voice rang through the hall, calm yet unyielding. Elias Ward, you have done what no Scifi has ever done. You touched my daughter's core and gave her life. For that, you have my gratitude. And my claim. Elias blinked. Claim? He asked cautiously. You are bound to my daughter, the queen continued. Until the bond is complete, you cannot leave this palace. Elias swallowed hard. Bond? What kind of bond? The queen leaned forward. Scifi life is delicate. Her essence is unique. A human has never interacted with it before. Yet your blood stabilized her core. That bond is now permanent unless carefully managed. It is my duty to ensure both of you survive. Elias's chest tightened. So I saved her, and now I'm trapped. He looked at Araya, who still lay resting, her body pulsing with renewed energy. She seemed peaceful, yet her eyes carried curiosity and cautious trust. Elias, she said softly, I owe my life to you. But the queen, she is strict. You must follow her rules. Elias nodded, though his heart was heavy. I didn't mean to get involved in politics. I just did what I had to. The queen's gaze softened slightly at Araya's words. Your courage is rare, she said, addressing Elias directly. Humans are resilient. You risked everything for my daughter. That is a quality I admire. And need, Elias frowned. Need for what? Queen Maratha's expression turned serious. Our empire faces enemies who would use Araya's essence as a weapon. They will stop at nothing. And now with your bond, she is more vulnerable to them than ever. You are not just a savior, you are a protector. The bond between you and Araya is unique. It strengthens her life, but it also ties her fate to yours. Elias swallowed. He had not asked for this responsibility, but he could not ignore it. I'll do what I can, he said quietly. I'll protect her. The queen nodded, her eyes gleaming. You will live in the palace under strict supervision. Araya will remain close to you, and you will train with the Scifi guards to understand our ways. You are human, yes, but your presence here is necessary. Your blood has become part of her life, part of this empire's future. For the next few days, Elias was shown the palace's wonders. He saw rooms filled with strange plants that glowed in the dark, pools of liquid that shifted colors, and libraries that contained knowledge beyond any human imagination. He was introduced to Sarathi warriors, scholars, and healers, all of whom treated him with cautious respect. Araya, though still weak, spent her days with him. She was curious about his world, and he told her stories of Earth, of oceans, forests, and simple human inventions. In turn, she explained Sarathi history, culture, and the science behind her unique body. Elias realized that humans were not the only intelligent beings in the galaxy, but humans were capable of something rare, selfless courage. One evening, as the twin moons cast silver light across the palace gardens, Araya spoke quietly. "Elias, why did you risk your life for me? You didn't even know me." Elias thought for a moment. "I guess. Humans fight for life, for people we don't even know sometimes. It's instinct. You were dying and I couldn't just stand by." Her eyes softened. "Your heart is strong, different from anyone I have ever met." Before Elias could respond, the queen entered the garden, her presence commanding yet calm. "You two have grown close," she said, her gaze resting on both of them. "This bond is important, but it must be handled carefully. Human emotions are unpredictable. Sarathi life is fragile. The future depends on both of you." Elias bowed slightly. "I understand, Your Majesty. I only want to do right by the princess." The queen's expression hardened. "That may not be enough. Our enemies will not wait. You must be prepared for anything. Human tactics, human bravery, those are what I hope you bring. Humans are clever, unpredictable. That unpredictability may save us." Elias realized then that the queen's decision was not just about keeping him close to Araya. It was strategic. His presence represented something her empire had never experienced. A human's ability to think differently, to act bravely even in impossible situations. Over the next week, Elias began training with the Sarathi guards. He was unarmed, unfamiliar with their fighting style, but he quickly adapted. Humans were not as strong as the Sarathi, but he learned to use agility, speed, and ingenuity. The Sarathi began to respect him, not just as a human, but as a warrior capable of defending their princess. Araya watched his progress with fascination. "You fight differently," she said. "It's clever," Elias smiled faintly. "Humans have to be clever. We can't always rely on strength." The queen observed silently from a distance, her mind calculating. This human, he may be the key to everything. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Elias and Araya grew stronger. They began to trust each other, not just as human and Sarathi, but as friends, allies, and something more unspoken. Elias realized that he had never met anyone like Araya, someone who could inspire fear and courage at the same time, someone whose life now depended on him, and whose trust he could not betray. One night, as they sat together on a balcony overlooking the glowing city, Araya turned to him. "Elias, the queen will want more than your protection. She will want a promise." Elias's heart skipped a beat. "A promise?" Araya nodded. "Our bond. It is more than life and blood. She will expect you to stay with me, in a way humans call marriage. That is part of the Sarathi way to ensure the bond is complete." Elias stared at her. "Marriage? I don't even know if that's right for me." Araya placed a hand gently on his. "I don't know either. But we are linked now. Our choices will affect not just us, but my people." Elias looked out at the horizon, glowing with crystal light. He realized then that his life had changed forever. He had come to Varelia as a simple human medic. Now he was part of an empire, part of a princess's life, and part of a bond that no one had ever experienced before. And above all, he knew one thing clearly. No matter what challenges awaited, no matter how strange this world was, he would do everything in his power to protect her, to honor the trust she had given him, and to prove that humans, though fragile and small, could be strong in ways no other species could understand. Queen Maratha watched from her palace tower as the two talked quietly. She knew the future of her empire rested on this human and her daughter, and for the first time in centuries she felt hope, a hope she had never thought possible. The bond had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The sky over Varelia burned red as the horizon lit up with the engines of approaching ships. The enemy fleet had returned, larger and more dangerous than the last attack. Elias stood on the balcony of the palace looking at the distant lights. His hand still bore the faint scar from the day he had bled for Princess Araya. He had never imagined that simple human courage would lead to battles on a scale like this. Princess Araya approached quietly, her golden eyes filled with determination. "Elias," she said softly, "they are coming for us. They know about the bond. They will not stop until they have me." Elias nodded, gripping the hilt of a Sarathi plasma blade he had learned to use over the past weeks. "We've trained for this. You saved my life when I fell into your world. Now it's my turn to protect you." The queen appeared behind them, her expression calm but commanding. "Elias Ward, your human instincts may be what saves us. You understand unpredictability in ways our warriors cannot. Use it wisely." Elias took a deep breath. He had spent weeks learning Sarathi strategies, but humans thrived on improvisation. He studied the battlefield through the palace's observation crystal. Enemy ships were closing in from multiple angles, attempting to surround the city. If they breached the defenses, Araya's life and the stability of the empire would be at risk. "We need to split their forces," he said. "I can lead a small strike team from the lower gates. Hit them where they least expect. Princess, you stay here with the queen and the royal guards. I'll make sure no ship reaches the palace." Araya's eyes glimmered with trust and concern. "Be careful, Elias." "I always am," he said with a faint smile, though his heart pounded. The battle began with a thunderous roar. Sarathi defenders engaged the enemy fleet, their crystalline armor reflecting the flashes of plasma fire. Elias led a small group of Sarathi warriors through hidden tunnels beneath the city. Using human tactics, ambushes, feints, and rapid movement, they disrupted the enemy lines. Even the Sarathi soldiers were impressed by his bold strategies. Above, Princess Araya observed, her body glowing faintly with the life force that Elias's blood had once stabilized. She could feel the connection between them, a bond of trust, courage, and mutual respect. Every pulse of her essence resonated with him, as if reminding him that they were stronger together. Hours passed. The battle raged in the skies and on the ground. Elias's team fought tirelessly, using clever maneuvers to confuse the enemy. Finally, he saw the lead enemy ship approaching the palace, faster and more powerful than any before. It was too late for defenses alone. "Princess Araya," he called through the crystal communicator, "I need your help. I have a plan, but I can't do it alone." Her eyes widened, but she nodded. She summoned her own energy, her crystalline core glowing brighter than ever. Following Elias's instructions, she created a shield of light around the palace, while he led a small boarding team onto the enemy vessel. Inside the enemy ship, Elias's human courage shone. He guided the Sarathi warriors through corridors and control rooms, disabling weapons and rerouting systems. The humans' instinct for problem-solving, improvisation, and daring strategy proved invaluable. In a decisive moment, Elias diverted the main energy core to overload, forcing the ship to retreat in flames. Back at the palace, the shield dissipated as the remaining enemy ships fled. The city erupted in celebration, and the queen's advisors marveled at the humans' ingenuity. The queen descended from her throne room to meet Elias and Princess Araya. Her eyes, usually cold and calculating, now glimmered with admiration. "Elias Ward," she said, "you have not only protected my daughter, you have saved the future of this empire. Your courage and wisdom are extraordinary." Elias felt a mix of exhaustion and relief. He looked at Araya, who stepped forward, her hand brushing his arm lightly. "You were amazing," she whispered. "I never thought a human could do what you just did." He smiled faintly. "I guess humans can be clever when it matters most." The queen's expression softened. "Now, as promised, it is time to honor the bond." Elias's heart skipped a beat. He had trained, fought, and survived with Araya, but now it was no longer just survival. It was about connection, trust, and unity between two worlds. The palace prepared for the ceremony. Lights of every color bathed the central hall, reflecting off the crystal spires and creating a glow that seemed almost alive. Sarathi nobles and humans who had accompanied Elias stood together, witnessing a union unlike any before. Princess Araya approached Elias, her glow merging with his faint scar, a symbol of the life he had given her. The queen spoke, her voice echoing through the grand hall. "This bond unites two souls, two worlds. It is not only a promise of protection, but a promise of trust, courage, and hope. From this moment, your lives are linked forever." Elias took a deep breath. He looked at Araya, remembering the day he had bled for her in the forest. He had done it without expectation. Now, standing before an entire empire, he realized that the choice to protect, to trust, and to act with courage had led him here. "I promise," he said, "to protect you, to honor you, and to face the future with you. No matter what comes." Araya smiled, her golden eyes shining brighter than ever. "And I promise to face the future with you, Elias Ward. Your courage has become part of my life, and I trust you completely." The Queen nodded approvingly. "Then let this union be celebrated. The bond is complete." The hall erupted in applause. Lights danced across the crystal walls and the people cheered. For Elias, it was more than a ceremony. It was proof that humanity, with its courage, ingenuity, and selfless spirit, could stand alongside the greatest civilizations in the galaxy. Later, as the celebration continued, Elias and Araya stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin moons reflected their light in the crystal towers, and the stars above seemed to shine in approval. "You know," Elias said quietly, "I never expected to be here, standing with a princess on an alien planet." Araya laughed softly. "And I never expected a human to save my life. Yet here we are." Elias looked at her, then at the city below. "I guess humans can do amazing things when it matters most." Araya reached for his hand. "And sometimes it's not just what you do, it's who you are." Elias smiled. "Then I'm glad I could be here with you." As they stood together, the glow of their bond spreading between them, it became clear to all watching that this was more than a marriage. It was a union of courage, trust, and hope. The first human to step into the heart of an alien empire had not only saved a princess but had changed the course of history. The Queen watched from above, her face serene. "This human, this one act of courage, it has shown me the future, and I trust it will shine brighter than anything we have ever known." And so, the first union of human and Scifi began, not just as a bond of survival, but as a symbol of two worlds learning from each other. In the heart of the palace, Elias and Araya stood side by side, ready to face the challenges of the galaxy together. For humans, it was proof that bravery, kindness, and ingenuity could leave a mark even on the stars. For the Scifi, it was proof that trust, hope, and courage could unite worlds. And for Elias Ward, it was the beginning of a life he had never imagined, one of honor, bond, and endless possibilities.